The crystalline walls of the Galactic Academy's Grand Council chamber pulsed with a soft, azure glow, reflecting the nervous energy of its occupants. Ambassador Cthulhu's secondary hearts fluttered as he watched Dr. Amanda Brooks stride through the towering doorway. Her boots clicked against the polished floor with military precision, each step echoing through the cavernous space like a countdown. The chamber, designed to host representatives from over 3,000 civilizations, had never felt so small. Today's audience was unprecedented. Every seat filled, with some species even sharing spaces despite ancient rivalries. The simple fact that a human stood here, about to address the High Council, had brought together beings who hadn't spoken in millennia. Dr. Brooks reached the central platform, her weathered dress uniform bearing the scars and medals of someone who had earned her place the hard way. The decorations on her chest told stories that made even the warrior races uncomfortable. At 55, her graying hair and laugh lines did nothing to diminish the intensity in her eyes that had seen too much and weren't afraid to see more. Distinguished members of the council, she began, her voice carrying naturally through the space. I stand before you not as a warrior, though I've fought my share of battles. Not as a scientist, though I studied your peoples extensively. I stand before you as a warning. The translator matrices hummed, conveying her words in 300 different languages simultaneously. Yet somehow, the steel in her tone needed no translation. 3 months ago, the Drachnid Empire made a decision that changed the galaxy forever. They chose Earth as their next conquest, believing us to be, in their words, a primitive species barely worth the effort of subjugation. A dry smile crossed her face. They based this assessment on careful observation of our apparent disunity, our constant conflicts, and our relatively young age as a spacefaring civilization. She paused, touching a control on her wrist. Above the platform, a hologram flickered to life, showing Earth as seen from orbit. What they failed to understand, what many of you still fail to understand, is that humanity's greatest strength lies in what you perceive as our greatest weaknesses. The image shifted to show news footage from the day of first contact. A high school football stadium in Montana, packed with families and supporters from 2 small towns. The Drachnid ships decloaking above the field, their arrival interrupting the final play of the championship game. They chose this location believing it demonstrated our primitive nature, humans gathering to watch young members of our species engage in ritualized combat for entertainment. Dr. Brooks shook her head. Instead, they learned why every predator species on Earth knows one simple rule: never threaten anything near a human child. The footage continued, showing what happened next. The council chamber fell silent as they watched parents turning hot dog rollers into improvised weapons, teenagers converting sports equipment into shields, and a chemistry teacher creating surprisingly effective explosives from concession stand supplies. You see chaos, Brooks continued, gesturing to the scene of apparent madness. We see adaptation. You see primitive violence. We see innovation. You see a species barely worth noting. We see. She smiled again, and several council members involuntarily shifted back in their seats. We see opportunities. Ambassador Cthulhu raised a tentacle, his bioluminescent patches pulsing with concern. But surely, Dr. Brooks, you must acknowledge that your species' tendency toward violence is precisely what has kept us alive, she interrupted smoothly. Every predator on Earth is faster than us, stronger than us, better armed by nature than us. Yet we became the apex species of our world, not through superior strength, but through something far more dangerous: creativity born of necessity. The hologram shifted again, showing the aftermath of that first contact. The Drachnid ships retreating, their supposedly impenetrable shields disabled by improvised weapons and sheer human stubbornness. We don't want to fight you, Brooks concluded, her voice softening just enough to make her next words even more impactful. But understand this: humans have spent our entire existence learning to survive against superior opponents. We've perfected the art of turning anything into a weapon, any weakness into an advantage, and any setback into an opportunity. The Drachnids learned this lesson the hard way. Their empire is now a cautionary tale. She stepped back from the podium, straightening her uniform with practiced precision. I'm not here to threaten. I'm here to prevent future misunderstandings, because the next species that mistakes human adaptability for primitive chaos might not survive the lesson. The scoreboard at Silver Creek High School flickered in the crisp Montana evening. Home 28, visitors 28, with 10 seconds left in the state championship. Tommy Reynolds, the hometown quarterback, had just called what would be humanity's last peaceful play before the universe changed forever. Coach Mike Davidson paced the sidelines, his well-worn clipboard clutched tight enough to whiten his knuckles. 25 years of coaching championship games hadn't prepared him for this moment. His team was one play away from their first state title, and the weight of the entire town's hopes rested on 17-year-old Tommy's shoulders. Blue 42, Blue 42. Tommy's voice carried across the suddenly hushed field. The crowd of 3,000, practically the entire population of Silver Creek and their rivals from Pine Valley, held their collective breath. Later, experts would note that this moment of complete human focus made the Drachnids choose their timing. They couldn't have chosen worse. The first ship materialized directly over the field, its stealth systems dissolving like dark mercury to reveal a hull that gleamed with otherworldly perfection. Two more appeared flanking it, their presence turning the crisp autumn air electric with ozone. The football slipped from Tommy's hands, bouncing forgotten on the turf. For exactly 3 seconds, everyone stared upward in disbelief. Then Lucy Martinez, the head cheerleader's mom who'd been running the concession stand for 6 straight hours, broke the spell with 6 words that would later be inscribed in human history books. Oh hell no, not my nachos. The first plasma bolt from the Drachnid ship struck the scoreboard, transforming it into a shower of sparks and molten metal. They'd intended it as a demonstration of power. Instead, it became a catalyst for what xenobiologists would later term spontaneous human defensive improvisation. Coach Davidson's voice cut through the initial panic. Special play. Everyone on defense. 25 years of respect meant every person in that stadium listened, even as the aliens deployed their landing crafts. Lucy Martinez was first to act. She'd spent the entire season perfecting her nacho cheese sauce recipe, and these aliens had just ruined the biggest sale night of the year. The industrial-sized cheese warmer, when thrown with maternal fury, proved surprisingly effective against Drachnid battle armor. The sight of an elite alien warrior slipping and crashing into his companions because of processed cheese would later become one of the most viewed videos in human history. Tommy Reynolds recovered his quarterback poise faster than any college recruiter could have hoped for. Offensive line, protect the children. Defense, we need coverage. The practiced coordination of a championship football team smoothly transformed into an evacuation operation. In the press box, elderly Pete Harrison, who'd been running the game commentary for 30 years, kept his microphone live. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got an unexpected shift in tonight's matchup. The Silver Creek Wolves and Pine Valley Bears have apparently united against, yes, those appear to be genuine extraterrestrial invaders. Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them. The Drachnids had expected panic. They got organization. They'd expected primitive fear. They got innovative fury. Their tactical computers struggled to analyze humans converting sports equipment into weapons with terrifying efficiency. Baseball bats became staff weapons. Soccer nets were repurposed into capture devices. The entire Pine Valley varsity wrestling team demonstrated why their state championship record remained unbroken. But it was Dr. Sarah Wilson, the high school chemistry teacher, who truly demonstrated humanity's potential. Years of dealing with teenage students had taught her how to handle chaos. Decades of running the science fair had given her an encyclopedic knowledge of what common materials could do under uncommon circumstances. When she combined the concession stand's CO2 tanks with certain cleaning supplies, the resulting explosion took out the Drachnid's primary shield generator. Take notes, kids. she shouted while mixing another batch. "This will be on Monday's exam." By the time military helicopters appeared on the horizon, drawn by reports of the disturbance, they found a scene that would define humanity to the galaxy. Parents protecting children with improvised weapons, teenagers filming everything for social media, and a community that had turned a high school football field into humanity's first successful defense against alien invasion. The Drachnids retreated, their mission log containing a hastily added note: "Species demonstrates unprecedented cooperative behavior when threatened. Caution: extreme creativity in weaponizing civilian infrastructure. Additional warning." They appear to enjoy it. In the end, only one piece of human equipment survived untouched: the fallen football, still resting at the 40-yard line. Next to it, a small plaque now stands. Here humanity scored its first points in the Galactic game. We haven't stopped scoring since. Major Jessica "Mad Dog" Martinez stared at the Pentagon's central display screen, coffee forgotten in her hand as diplomatic channels lit up like a Christmas tree. 20 years in military intelligence hadn't prepared her for this moment. The world wasn't just uniting. It was doing so with a speed that made light look sluggish. "Someone please tell me I'm reading this right," she said, gesturing at the incoming messages. "The Russians just offered us what?" Lieutenant James Cooper, her communications specialist, double-checked his tablet. "Their entire northern fleet, ma'am. No conditions attached. They're saying, and I quote, 'Earth first, politics later.'" The Strategic Command Center hummed with activity as more reports flooded in. Screens showed news footage from across the globe. Chinese aircraft carriers changing course to protect American coastlines, European missile defense systems activating under joint command, and Indian submarines surfacing near U.S. ports to offer support. "Mom," a young analyst waved from her station. "You need to see this. North Korea just launched their entire cyber warfare division into protecting our networks. They're calling it Operation Neighborhood Watch." Martinez took a long sip of her now cold coffee, hiding a smile. The Drachnid's tactical eye was probably having the digital equivalent of a nervous breakdown trying to process this. Their invasion strategy had counted on Earth's divisions being their greatest weakness. Instead, they'd just discovered humanity's most peculiar trait. Nothing unites humans quite like someone else trying to kill them all. The central screen shifted to a live feed from the United Nations. The Security Council, notorious for its lengthy deliberations, had just set a new record. Unanimous agreement in under 3 minutes. The resolution was refreshingly simple. Earth is now at war. Everyone else can shut up and help. "Get me the president," Martinez ordered, straightening her uniform. Before anyone could respond, every screen in the command center suddenly flickered. A familiar logo appeared, not one belonging to any nation, but to a certain social media platform. "Are we being hacked?" Cooper asked, fingers flying over his keyboard. "Better." Martinez grinned. "We're trending." The screen showed what would later be called the greatest live stream in human history. Teenagers across the globe were coordinating through dance videos, sharing alien weak points through makeup tutorials, and turning combat tactics into viral challenges. A group of gamers had already mapped the Drachnid ship's patrol patterns and were sharing them through speedrun strategies. "Ma'am, the Joint Chiefs are asking about our counter-strategy," an aide reported. Martinez gestured to the social media feeds. "Tell them humanity's already implementing it. We're not just fighting back, we're making it into content." A new alert flashed. The European Union had just approved a unified military response protocol. The process normally took years of negotiations, committees, and bureaucratic red tape. They'd done it in 3 hours, primarily because someone had convinced them they were in a race against Twitter to organize first. "Update from Montana," Cooper called out. "That high school chemistry teacher. She just uploaded her shield-cracking formula as a TikTok tutorial. It's got 5 million views already. The Drachnids tried to take it down for copyright infringement." Martinez watched as the world's military forces began integrating with civilian defense initiatives. Special forces teams were being paired with high school sports coaches. Nuclear physicists were collaborating with garage inventors. A grandmother's knitting circle in Ohio had somehow figured out how to jam alien communications using modified radio equipment. They really shouldn't have attacked during a football game, she mused, reaching for a fresh coffee. If they'd studied our history better, they'd know what happens when you interrupt America's sports. Remember the Super Bowl blackout of 2013? Still banned in New Orleans, Cooper agreed. A new message flashed across the main screen. This one from the International Space Station. The astronauts and cosmonauts aboard had unanimously decided to ignore their respective mission controllers and were now coordinating global satellite networks on their own initiative. Ma'am, a junior officer approached with a tablet. Intelligence suggests the Drachnid Eye is experiencing. Well, they're calling it a logic crisis. It can't compute why its divide and conquer algorithms aren't working. Martinez smiled, an expression that had earned her the mad dog call sign years ago. Tell them to add this to their calculations. Humans don't need to like each other to work together. We just need someone else to dislike more. Professor Jack O'Malley was having a peculiar Thursday. It had started normally enough, fighting with his garage door opener, cursing at his unresponsive remote, and wondering why MIT couldn't design a better parking system. Now he stood in his laboratory, surrounded by eager graduate students, staring at what might be the most important broken garage door in human history. "Run that by me again, Danny," he said, pushing his glasses up his nose. "You're saying I accidentally did what?" Danny Chen, his most promising doctoral student, could barely contain his excitement. "You cracked their shield frequency, Professor. When you were trying to boost your garage door signal, you accidentally created a resonance pattern that matches the Drachnid defense systems. We can disable their shields with modified garage door openers." The laboratory hummed with energy as students rushed between workstations, computer models spinning on screens and improvised testing rigs sparking in corners. What had started as a normal day in MIT's engineering department had turned into something between a hackathon and a revolution. "Professor," Sarah Williams called from her computer station. "The physics department at Caltech just confirmed our findings. They're already modifying their test equipment to amplify the effect. Berkeley's joining in too. They're saying something about using modified microwave ovens." O'Malley ran his hands through his disheveled hair. "How many universities are working on this now?" "All of them," Danny replied, grinning. "We posted the initial findings on Reddit's Ask Engineers forum an hour ago. The thread's gone viral. Amateur radio clubs across the country are already building test rigs in their garages." A new message popped up on the main screen, this one from a high school robotics club in Wisconsin. They'd apparently managed to convert 3 washing machines and an old ham radio into a working prototype. Their attached note read, "The spin cycle makes it work better. Not sure why, but it's awesome." "Sir?" A freshman poked her head into the lab. "There's a bunch of people from Home Depot in the parking lot. They're asking if we need more supplies. Also, someone's grandmother just showed up with cookies. She said she used to work for NASA and wants to help." O'Malley looked at his watch. Barely 4 hours had passed since his garage door mishap. In that time, his discovery had spawned what might be the largest impromptu engineering collaboration in human history. The Drachnid's careful analysis of Earth's technological capabilities hadn't accounted for one crucial factor. Humans really enjoyed proving experts wrong. "Professor," Danny called out again, "you need to see this. Someone in Florida just posted a video of them taking down a Drachnid scout ship using modified pool cleaning equipment. They're calling it Project Spring Cleaning." The laboratory's main screen filled with incoming data as citizen scientists across the globe joined the effort. A knitting circle in Yorkshire had figured out how to weave carbon fiber shields using recycled materials. A group of surf shop owners in Australia had discovered that certain surfboard resins could disrupt alien sensor systems. A pizza place in Chicago was experimenting with using their oven's heating elements to generate defensive fields. "Sir," Sarah said, looking up from her station, "the Drachnids are trying to adapt their shields. They're changing frequencies." O'Malley smiled for the first time that day. "How many frequencies have we documented so far?" "Thanks to the global network. All of them. Turns out when you get every ham radio operator on Earth excited about something, they're pretty thorough about scanning frequencies." The professor walked to the center of the lab, clearing his throat. "All right, everyone. The aliens think they're dealing with a primitive species that barely understands its own technology. Let's show them what happens when humans decide to ignore the impossible." He pointed to a whiteboard filled with equations and improvised diagrams. "Danny, coordinate with the robotics teams. Sarah, keep the global network updated. Everyone else, grab some coffee. We're going to turn every garage door opener, microwave, and pool cleaner on Earth into a shield-cracking device." As his students scattered to their tasks, O'Malley glanced at his broken garage door opener, the unlikely catalyst for Earth's technological leap forward. The Drachnids had made a crucial mistake. They'd assumed humans would approach problems like they did, with careful planning and precise execution. Instead, they got a species that treated their most advanced technology like a puzzle to be solved over coffee and cookies. "Note to self," he muttered, reaching for his own coffee cup. "Remember to thank the university's broken parking system in my Nobel acceptance speech." Bobby Wilson had spent 35 years fixing cars in downtown Chicago, and he'd learned one universal truth. If something moves, it needs lubrication. So when the Drachnids deployed their unstoppable biomechanical warriors down Michigan Avenue, his first thought wasn't about their advanced armor or plasma weapons. It was looking at their joints. "Hey, Eddie," he called to his nephew, who was filming the invasion from behind their shop's counter. "Toss me that can of WD-40 and my lucky wrench." The biomechanical warriors moved with deadly precision, their crystalline armor gleaming in the morning sun. They'd been designed to strike fear into primitive species, their every movement a display of technological superiority. They hadn't counted on meeting a mechanic with 4 decades of experience in making stubborn things move, or stop moving. "Y'all got some squeaking in that left knee joint," Bobby shouted at the nearest warrior, casually strolling toward it while shaking the WD-40 can. "That ain't right. Let me fix that for you." The warrior turned its sensor array toward him, probably scanning for weapons. The can of WD-40 registered as primitive maintenance liquid, harmless. Bobby's dedicated customer service smiled, registered as non-threatening biological response. Both assessments were severely mistaken. What happened next would be viewed 5 billion times across social media platforms within hours. Bobby Wilson, humming his favorite blues tune, casually sprayed WD-40 into the warrior's knee joint. The supposedly impervious biomechanical system seized up immediately, causing the entire squad to halt their advance in confusion. "See, that's your problem right there," Bobby announced, now addressing his phone's camera as Eddie filmed. "These fancy alien joints aren't rated for Earth's atmosphere. Little bit of the right lubricant in the wrong place. And..." The warrior toppled over, its advanced motor systems completely frozen. Within minutes, hardware stores across Chicago were selling out of WD-40. Within hours, Bobby's impromptu repair video had spawned thousands of copycats. The Drachnids' tactical network struggled to process the flood of humans approaching their warriors with various sprays, lubricants, and determined expressions. "Welcome to Wilson's Auto and Alien Repair," Bobby declared, setting up a makeshift sign outside his shop. The line of civilians bringing captured alien technology for him to examine stretched around the block. Today's special: free joint lubrication with every invasive species neutralization. In the shop's office, Eddie had set up a live-stream tutorial channel. "Okay, followers, today we're learning basic alien warrior maintenance. Remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell icon for more invasion-stopping tips." The Drachnids' command structure faced a new crisis. Their warriors were being defeated not by advanced weapons, but by basic engineering principles and social media trends. Humans weren't just fighting back. They were turning alien weaknesses into viral content. Uncle Bobby. Eddie called out, checking his phone. NASA just reached out. They want to know if you can look at some captured alien spacecraft engines next week. Bobby wiped his hands on his ever-present shop rag, examining a disabled warrior's joint system. Tell them Tuesday works best. Monday's booked solid with regular customers, and alien or not, Mrs. Johnson's Buick takes priority. She's been coming here since '85. By sunset, automotive repair shops across the country had transformed into alien technology research centers. Mechanics were sharing notes on alien materials, comparing them to Earth vehicles, and developing increasingly creative solutions. A truck stop in Texas had discovered that certain diesel additives could disrupt alien power systems. A body shop in Detroit figured out how to repaint alien armor, leading to the first hot rod-style Drachnid warrior. The final straw came when Bobby posted a detailed maintenance schedule for captured alien technology, including recommended fluid changes and routine joint inspections. The Drachnid High Command watched in horror as their fearsome warriors were reduced to teaching materials for Earth's automotive technicians. You know what your problem is, Bobby told the captured warrior as he made adjustments, his words being broadcast to millions. You all forgot the first rule of any good machine. Keep it simple. Stupid. All this fancy biomechanical stuff. That's just asking for trouble. Now, a good old-fashioned combustion engine. That's reliable. Speaking of which, he glanced at his watch. Mrs. Johnson's Buick needs an oil change. You mind holding my light? Might as well make yourself useful while you're in the shop. Kelly Thompson's morning at the Cosmic Cup coffee shop in Austin had already gone sideways before the alien showed up. The espresso machine was acting up. 3 regulars had called in complex mobile orders, and her new trainee had just spilled their specialty cold brew across the counter. Then the Drachnids materialized their scout ship in the parking lot. Oh, come on, Kelly muttered, watching through the front windows as alien troops deployed. It's not even 7 a.m. yet. The Drachnids had chosen this location to secure what their scans indicated was a significant human gathering point. Their intelligence suggested that humans were particularly vulnerable and irrational before consuming their morning stimulants. They weren't wrong about the second part. Listen here, Kelly called out as the aliens approached, still wiping down the counter from the earlier spill. We open in 20 minutes. You can wait in line like everyone else. The lead warrior raised its neural disruptor, its biomechanical armor gleaming in the early Texas sun. It hadn't expected the small human female to respond by throwing a full pot of her special morning blend, known locally as cardiac arrest in a cup, directly at its sensor array. What happened next would rewrite the physics textbooks. The coffee, which Kelly brewed using a secret combination of 5 different beans and what some customers swore had to be rocket fuel, made contact with the alien's neural interface. The resulting reaction created a localized temporal distortion that briefly turned the coffee shop's parking lot into a quantum physics experiment. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, who had just been trying to get his morning fix before heading to his job at the University of Texas Physics Department, stared at his phone's readings in disbelief. That's not possible, he mumbled, watching as his scientific instruments went haywire. The coffee just created a stable micro-wormhole. Kelly, more concerned with her spilled coffee than the laws of physics, simply grabbed another pot. You're paying for that, by the way, she informed the stunned alien warrior, whose neural systems were now processing caffeine for the first time in its species' history. The Drachnid command ship in orbit detected the anomaly immediately. Their sensors indicated that somehow, impossibly, humans had developed stable wormhole technology using a beverage. The analysis computers crashed trying to process this information. Within hours, NASA had cordoned off the Cosmic Cup. Kelly found herself explaining her coffee brewing process to a room full of quantum physicists who kept muttering about impossible energy states and spontaneous space-time fluctuations. Look, she said, exasperated. It's not complicated. You just need to understand your beans. And maybe don't use that commercial stuff that tastes like it was filtered through a sock. The breakthrough came when someone fought to analyze Kelly's coffee at the molecular level. The specific combination of caffeine compounds, when energized by contact with dracnid neural technology, created a previously unknown form of stable quantum tunneling. So what you're saying, Kelly clarified during a high-level briefing, still wearing her coffee shop apron, is that my morning brew just gave humanity faster than light travel. More than that, Dr. Rodriguez explained, barely containing his excitement. The dracnid's neural interface was designed to process pure energy. When it encountered your coffee, it tried to categorize a substance that simultaneously acts as a stimulant, depressant, and mood alternator. The resulting confusion created a tear in spacetime. The implications were staggering. Within days, NASA had partnered with major coffee chains. Baristas were being recruited for top-secret research projects. Kelly's brewing techniques became classified information, though she insisted on keeping her shop open. Because some of us still have regular customers to serve, alien invasion or not. The Dracnid High Command received increasingly concerning reports. Humans weren't just weaponizing coffee, they were using it to revolutionize space travel. Their tactical computers ran countless simulations, trying to understand how a species could regularly consume a substance powerful enough to bend reality. I don't see what the big deal is, Kelly told a reporter as she crafted another signature drink. You should see what happens when I make espresso. Actually, maybe don't stand too close for that one. Last time it made the lights flicker in 3 states. Behind her coffee counter, now upgraded with various scientific instruments and monitoring equipment, Kelly hung a small sign. Today's special. Free quantum physics with every cup. Warning. May cause spontaneous space-time distortions. No refunds. The Dracnid High Command received the entertainment broadcast with growing horror. On their primary screen, a human named Tyler Wrench King Matthews was cheerfully explaining how to convert a captured battle tank into a mobile barbecue pit. His YouTube channel, Pimp My Alien Ride, had just hit 50 million subscribers. And here's the neat part, folks, Tyler announced, patting the modified alien armor. The plasma containment system makes for perfect temperature control. We're smoking these briskets at exactly 225 degrees for 18 hours. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more alien tech cooking tips. Commander X Trill, leader of the Dracnid invasion force, watched in dismay as their feared war machines were transformed into cooking appliances, party vehicles, and what humans called totally awesome parade floats. Their psychological warfare experts were having nervous breakdowns trying to understand why humans weren't properly terrified. Sir, a junior analyst reported, they've started a new show called Extreme Alien Makeover, Home Edition. They're using our shield generators to create climate-controlled greenhouses. The situation grew worse when the humans discovered the Dracnid's sacred war ceremonies. Within hours, TikTok was flooded with dance videos mimicking their ritual movements. A group of cheerleaders from Texas had turned their most fearsome battle cry into a trending hip-hop remix. Update from the Human Information Networks. Another analyst called out. A farmer in Nebraska just won one of our destroyer-class vessels in something called a county fair raffle. He's using it to optimize crop irrigation. The entertainment broadcasts continued relentlessly. Reality shows sprang up across the globe. Dancing with the Aliens, The Great Intergalactic Bake Off, and Keeping Up with the Invasions dominated prime time. The Dracnid Cultural Preservation Team was particularly disturbed by space cribs, where humans gleefully gave tours of captured warships they'd converted into luxury apartments. Sir, a communications officer interrupted, their bioluminescent patches pulsing with distress. The humans have started something called Invasion Idol. They're rating our battle formations based on style and presentation. We're losing to something called interpretative dance. Commander X Trill watched as a group of college students transformed a captured dreadnought into what they called a tailgate party vessel, for something called the Super Bowl. The mighty ship, once terror of the Carina Nebula, now sported team colors and a massive flat-screen display. "They're not even trying to understand our technology properly," X-Trill muttered. "They're just making it fun." The final indignity came when a popular streaming service announced a new dating show, Love Among the Stars, Alien Edition. The premise involved humans competing to give captured Drachnid warriors much-needed makeovers and personality upgrades. "Commander," the cultural officer reported grimly, "our sacred battle hymn of eternal conquest has been remixed into something called dubstep. It's trending at #1 on their music charts." The entertainment assault reached its peak when a group of retired grandmothers in Florida started a cooking channel dedicated to recipes for victory. They were using captured alien scanning technology to perfect their baking temperatures and proudly announced that their snickerdoodles were now quantum accurate. "Sir, about the Nebraska farmer," the analyst updated nervously. "He's installed something called a hot tub in the destroyer's command center. He's charging admission for what he calls the universe's highest pool party." The Drachnid tactical computers, trying to process how their fearsome invasion had turned into human entertainment, finally gave up. Their most sophisticated AI simply displayed error, unable to compute species that responds to existential threats with reality TV. In a suburban garage, Tyler Wrench King Matthews addressed his audience while casually rewiring an alien power core. "Now, folks, remember to handle these plasma converters carefully. They're technically advanced weapons of war, but they make amazing pizza ovens if you adjust the frequency just right. Next week, we'll show you how to turn those defensive force fields into the ultimate bounce house for your kid's birthday party." The camera panned to show a line of dejected Drachnid warriors waiting their turn for what humans had started calling extreme alien makeovers. One of them wore a hand-knitted sweater with "My humans went to Earth, and all I got was this lousy surrender" emblazoned across it. Commander X-Trill made one final log entry before ordering the retreat. "Note to future invasion forces: any species that turns weapons of mass destruction into cooking appliances and entertainment platforms is too unpredictable to engage. Additional warning: they're having fun doing it." Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Dr. Amanda Brooks concluded her presentation with footage of the infamous Super Bowl celebration aboard the converted Drachnid dreadnought. The massive warship, now painted in Kansas City Chiefs colors, hung above the stadium like a testament to human creativity gone gloriously wrong. "And that, distinguished council members," she said, allowing herself a small smile, "is why the galaxy's first rule should be, never anger Earth." Ambassador Cathur raised a tentacle. "But Dr. Brooks, surely you understand our confusion. Your species turned weapons of war into entertainment platforms. You defeated advanced neural interfaces with a breakfast beverage. You transformed an invasion into content creation." "Precisely," Brooks nodded. "That's what makes us dangerous. We don't just survive threats. We adapt them, improve them, and somehow make them trend on social media." The chamber's holographic display shifted to show a montage. Bobby Wilson's auto repair shop, now an intergalactic mechanical academy, where 3 different alien species learned the sacred art of WD-40 application. Kelly Thompson's coffee shop, where quantum physicists and baristas worked side by side to explore the space-warping properties of the perfect espresso shot. Professor O'Malley's garage, where his once-broken door opener had spawned an entirely new field of shield harmonic study. "The Drachnids made a fundamental mistake," Brooks continued. "They analyze our technology, our military capabilities, our political divisions. What they failed to understand was that humans don't see obstacles as warnings. We see them as suggestions." She gestured to a new image: the high school football field in Montana where it all began. The scoreboard had been rebuilt, now powered by modified alien technology. The screen alternated between game scores and quantum physics equations. "Our greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology," Brooks explained. It's our ability to look at the most advanced warfare technology in the galaxy and think, you know what this needs? Cup holders. The council chamber filled with nervous laughter. Several species representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats, no doubt remembering their own preliminary invasion plans for Earth. But perhaps most importantly, Brooks added, bringing up the final image, we showed the galaxy something it had never seen before, a species that treats universal domination attempts as an opportunity for community engagement. The screen showed a series of social media posts, a knitting circles guide to reinforcing alien armor with crochet, a cooking show featuring fusion cuisine using ingredients from 3 galaxies, a home improvement video titled 10 Easy Ways to Upgrade Your Nuclear Fusion Core on a Budget. The Drachnids expected us to cower in fear, Brooks said. Instead, we started rating their invasion strategies on Yelp. They thought they would break our spirit. We turned their sacred war rituals into dance challenges. She paused, letting her next words carry weight. But make no mistake, this isn't just about humor or entertainment. Every meme, every viral video, every transformed weapon represents something far more important: human innovation driven by necessity and fueled by audacity. The final footage played, a time-lapse of Earth's rapid technological advancement during the invasion. Cities adopting alien shield technology for weather protection, farms using modified war machines for irrigation, schools teaching elementary students the basics of quantum mechanics alongside traditional mathematics. We didn't just survive the invasion, Brooks concluded. We treated it like a particularly challenging group project. And now, she gestured to herself, the first human to ever address the Galactic Council. Now we're here to stay. We bring with us our curiosity, our creativity, and yes, our tendency to turn everything into a social media opportunity. Ambassador Thur spoke again, their bioluminescence reflecting concern. And what would you have us tell our people about Earth? Brooks smiled, the same smile that had launched 1,000 memes during the invasion. Tell them this: Earth is always open for friendship, cooperation, and cultural exchange. Our coffee shops welcome everyone. Our mechanics will fix anything with moving parts, and our social media influencers are always looking for new content. She straightened her uniform one final time. But if anyone gets ideas about invasion, well, just remember, we're the species that weaponized coffee, turned defeat into entertainment, and views apocalyptic scenarios as networking opportunities. And we're really looking forward to meeting new friends among the stars, one way or another.